Hello, fellow hobby nerd. In this video, I have just 8 hours to paint these Death Skull Tankbustas. Come and see. I kit bashed these about a year ago, and you can find that video in my Project Mork playlist. Yes, I'll put a link there. If you have not seen it yet, you might want to check it out. Well, this week is week 5 of my hobby streak. Every week I have to go and do at least 4 hours of hobby work to keep my streak. So you can also check the hobby streak playlist out if that's of interest. Here's the thing though. This week I have left things to the last minute. Well, the last day anyway. The deadline for the week streak is Sunday, midnight, and it is now Sunday morning. And all I've done so far this week is paint some brown on the bases of all these miniatures. That did not take too long, so I still have nearly 4 hours to do over the next 12 hours or so before the deadline. Can I do it? Oh, let's see. You can see these models have been primed already and have had a zenithal highlight applied over that. So all we need to do now is colour them in. The first thing to get the party started is to start with some skin. I am using some green washes for this because the zenithal highlight has given us a nice shading gradient already. So, as far as possible, I will be using translucent colours so the pre-shade is preserved. Note, I am not using the washes as a wash. I am using them more like a pre-mixed glaze. Rather than slop the wash on to fill the recesses, I'm trying to keep it out of the recesses and instead use it sparingly to tint the raised areas. I'm using 2 different greens. One is a bit less saturated than the other. This is just to vary the skin tone a bit. We don't want them all looking the same. You can see I'm keeping some patches of skin uncoloured. This is because these are Death Skull orcs who like to paint themselves with blue because it is a lucky colour for them. These bare areas I have avoided will be tinted blue later. Again, the first coat will be a wash applied like a glaze. The parts of the model that were white will look like an ugly pastel under a tint at this stage. But later these areas will get a layer of opaque paint to ramp up saturation. I'll start on the next colour. I pick red because I know I will be using that for the tankbuster bombs and the rocket nose cones. I also know that I will be using various browns for the belts and some clothing. I'll do some blue again for the clothing as well because I feel like Death Skulls would wear some blue as well as having war paint. This is how it goes at this stage. Going round and round, picking a new colour, tinting the grey areas and up-saturating the white areas with a full coloured paints. I hope I can get a passable tabletop standard before the deadline, but I suppose I will be happy just to do the minimum amount of hours. I give the faces some extra attention. Eyes are the focal point for many miniatures, but for orcs I reckon the mouths are the focal point. This is the part of the model that wants the most detail. In my head canon, orcs are really alien. Alien enough that not only is their skin a weird green colour, but also their inner bits are weirdly coloured too. I tend to go for off blue, purple and lilac for their lips, for example. I paint their teeth in standard toothy colours, but I try not to make them too white, because I don't think that oral hygiene is high on the orcs' agenda. Oh, I'm getting a bit tired of painting, so I'm going to take a little break. Still, things are looking good for completing the hobby streak aspect, I'm probably going to be able to do the full 4 hours this day, although I'm not 100% sure I'll finish actually painting because there's just so many fussy little things to do, isn't there? So anyway, cheers. There are so many fussy little details, especially on the 5 metal tankbustas that were the original tankbusters kit from GW. I know they've got a new kit now, all plastic. My kit bashes are a bit simpler to paint, but still pretty complex. Never mind, I press on and keep going round and round, colouring in whatever is left to colour. As time goes on, I get a more and more slapdash just to get it freaking done. Although I do still try to be neat at least. Bloody hell, I actually did it. There we go, I actually have done it. Wow! I mean, I'm not saying it's a perfect paint job. I'm going to say it's a good tabletop standard. It's not 100% perfect, but it's definitely good enough for the tabletop. That's what I want to think. That's the way to think about it. Is it how much is done is enough is done. So it's done. Enough. There are a few bits I haven't finished painting actually, I can see just here. I probably should have done more on this bloke because, you know, is like that eagle thing probably wants some metal on it. That trophy thing on the top I guess could be something. Could be metalled up a bit more. But otherwise everything's basically covered I think, and it looks good enough. It does look good enough. Tell me I'm wrong. So yeah, we'll have a little closer look at each one of them and you can judge me. Alright, so let's start with this boy. And this one, so this is one of my custom kit bashes. Quite a funky looking job there. So we've got some blue paint on his face to be like a whatchamacallit, a tattoo or war paint or something. This is another custom kit bash. I'm gonna say he's not actually all that much kit bashed or much of a conversion, because he's basically a standard rocket boy but with a shoulder pad, and giving him a bit of a blue paint job on his face to be like is what's it on his shoulder as well, look, to be his war paint. This boy, actually this was quite a complex conversion, although it doesn't look like it, maybe. There's a lot more going on besides his Space Marine shoulder pad, which incidentally I could possibly put like a decal on that later. Maybe I could do that instead of leaving it plain. Yeah, so all of his rocket was cut apart and rearranged so that it fits his arm like that, because that's not standard grip at all. But you'll have to look at my Tankbuster video to see what I did there. This video is not really about the conversion, it's more about the paint job. So, and as we can see, we've got a bit of blue on his arm. Look, that's a nice little stripy thing going on there. And I kind of, a lot of this stuff on the back isn't that well painted. I just kind of rushed through it because I was getting just tired. You know, it's just towards the end of the paint job. And parts like this at the back, you're not really going to look at them very often, so you don't need to be too fussy, I would say. I always say if you're going to have to concentrate on any area, it's probably going to be the face most of the time. So this is another one. This boy is, well, I think technically he's a knob. He's meant to be a knob. He's the original Tankbusters knob. And so he's turned out alright. You know, again, loads of fussy details on these buggers. Endless. And so some of it is a bit sort of not all that full. Little hat there and everything. So try not to get too bogged down in the details. You've got to kind of get it done at the same time as whatever. This is quite a heavy conversion. It wasn't originally a Tankbusters from ancient. Well, again, I don't want to go into detail about the conversions. That's in another video. But we've got to try to attempt to do a bit of a check pattern on his shoulder pad. And of course he's got a tattoo on his arm to be the blue thing. And this guy is an original tank hammer dude. He's turned out alright. Bit of a blue on the face, bit of blue on the arm. And yes, that's kind of okay-ish. And then this one, this is a conversion as well. Quite, he's got a little bit of blue on his tummy, blue on his face. And, you know, he's alright. And this one, scratching his bum. The rocket looks a bit rough, to be honest. He's okay, but, you know, tabletop standard, I would say, is fine. Yeah, it's probably better than a tabletop standard. I'm calling this tabletop standard. But this is probably better than most tabletop standards, let's be honest. And then we got a boss. This is another conversion of mine. I've done a bit of stuff on his shoulders freehand, which looks a bit rough, to be honest. But again, tabletop standard, you don't want to be too fussy, do you? You want to get it done at the end of the day. Tabletop standard is all about getting it done. It'd be nice if it looked good too, but it's all about getting it done. Again, pretty rough, this one. But he's alright. And so I think this is the last, the official, what do they call them? Tankbustas. And finally, the little, whatchamacallums. These are bomb squigs. And the other one. There we go. So that will do it for today.